Yeah. Okay, listen, in a second we're gonna talk about this Bleach game, but please first just take a little look at my reaction in the actual room when this game was announced. I was going crazy.
If I cannot protect them from the wheel.
It's Bleach!
A strong blade.
Let's go!
And enough strength to shatter fate.
Woo! Ichigo!
Wish to save your family?
Oh, we win!
I'll do anything!
Let's go!
You must become
The sword.
a soul.
Yes,
leader.
sir! Oh, we in. Oh, yeah! Yeah! Okay, tell me, is it a fighting game or what are we doing? We doing RPG? What are we doing? Give me a fighting game, bro. The graphics looking right. Okay. Oh, is it arena though? What are we doing? Low key, right? Okay. Oh, no! Yes, sir! Subtle. Graphics looking good. Reggie mid. Okay. We got the story though, look. I saw some cutscenes there. Yeah, let's go! Oh! Oh, this looked like Heat the Soul on crack, bro. Let's go! Oh my god. Soul destruction, accept your souls and reverse fate. Bleach Rebirth of Souls. Woo! Hey, oh, they showed how Ichigo. Oh, shit. Xbox, PS5, bro.
So that was a surprise. As soon as I saw that shot of the streetlights reminiscent of the Rolling Star opening, I knew that it was Bleach. But my god, I mean, where do we even start breaking down this trailer and what it means for Bleach fans moving forward? So the trailer begins with a shot of Karakura Town on a rainy night, showing a sort of stop motion style, or I don't really know, like what's the proper word to use for this kind of animation style that was used for this segment of the trailer. But eventually we hear a recognizable voice saying, "I wish for strength." And for a second, I almost got fooled into thinking that this might actually be a Jujutsu Kaisen game when I saw this soul and thought it was actually cursed energy. But you know, thankfully it wasn't that. At this point, we cut over to an actual in-game shot of the crossing near Ichigo's school, where we can see him walking pretty frequently in the anime, like this scene of him and Uryu from early on in the series, as we see Ichigo standing on the overpass in his school uniform, albeit without the jacket that he wears in the very first episode. As this trailer goes on, I think we might actually have to do a fit check on Ichigo at some point, but for now, let's move forward as Ichigo says, "Then give me a strong blade," and we cut to another scene as the crescent moon watches over Karakura Town. Now, after briefly spotting a wheel or a circle made up of different souls for a quick second, we see Rukia standing in front of it holding the biggest soul we can see on screen, and forgive me if my memory isn't serving me right now, but I actually don't remember a scene like this in the original series. I'm sure now someone's gonna fly into my comments to let me know where it's from and say, you're a fake Bleach fan! As the words "to shatter fate" appear on the screen, the word shatter into the shape of the crescent moon, which I believe personally, of course, is symbolism here for hollows, since of course in this state the moon literally looks like there's a hole in it, especially with how it's drawn, and this is immediately followed up by our first in-game look at a hollow, as Fishbone D, the first hollow Ichigo knowingly stumbles upon, sits at the end of the road, turning its head back as we likely caught its attention. Here goes that fit check I was talking about earlier, because some sharp Twitter users noticed Ichigo actually isn't wearing the outfit that he was originally wearing in the manga and anime for this scene, as of course originally he's wearing a school uniform. This change into a different outfit weirded a few people out on Twitter, since people can be purists at times, but since Tite Kubo was working on the game himself, I honestly think this is just a case of him choosing to update Ichigo's outfit, since it's been 20 years since the first chapter of Bleach came out, guys, and the man's taste and styles probably changed since then. Plus, since this game is made of the intention of catering to someone experiencing the Bleach story for the first time through the games, it makes sense that a few things here or there will be updated by Kubo himself. As Ichigo nearly pisses his pants, we get a good look at a medium shot of him showing off this game's incredible graphics. I mean, this is just a nighttime shot of the main character from early on in the game, but compared to many other games we've gotten in the last few years, I'm sorry, I feel like it just has to be stated how good this game looks. From the shading to the character model itself, and even the way that they managed to perfectly capture the textbook like Bleach sweat drops. The sweat drops that are always down Ichigo's face or in a character's face in a tense moment. I'm probably going to talk more about how this game looks, but for now, damn. Now, as Rukia appears in the street asking Ichigo if he wishes to save his family, we see her face for the first time in the trailer, and again, they hit it out of the park with this, because they even included her frustration really well, making me laugh as I edit this, because that's early Rukia, 100% accurate. As Ichigo agrees that he'll do anything to save his family, Rukia seems to block a huge bite attack from Fishbone D before Ichigo can even really react to it happening at all. And I legit think that we might actually start the game playing as Rukia against this Hollow because of these two very quick sections here where you can see the Hollow kind of recoil back a bit like it's hurt, and also this shot where it looks like the beginning of a cutscene after a battle where we can see Rukia is now hurt even though she wasn't before. Now, obviously, there could just be a way longer cutscene here showing how Rukia got damaged that way, but I personally wouldn't mind starting the game off this way so you can get a feeling of what a proper Soul Reaper is like before Ichigo agrees to become a substitute like we see in the trailer, and then we see a bunch of stylish topography going off and also start to see what probably are character intros at the start of a match. Now, first we see Ichigo kind of covered by font, but again looking incredibly faithful to the 2D one, and at the panel they did say that this game was made with the visuals of the 1000-year Blood War anime in mind, so they tried as much as possible to match the aesthetic of that anime and not really go over the original anime trying to match the look of that, which is way more obvious to me once we see Uryu, who to me looks like he's almost ripped out of the new anime as far as his colors go. Shout out to Miyavi cooking on the guitar as we see a few more characters like Orihime, who confirms for us that they really aren't going to be going with that early Bleach character design for any of these early arcs, which I love to see because, I mean, Kubo, let's just say your art improved crazy over the years. I mean, it improved a lot. And it's at this point where we also see Kon probably waking Ichigo up in his room, and the word Rebirth appears on the screen, and then we're met with a shot of this Hollow, the Grand Ray Fisher, with a massive smile on his face as it hides behind the fake girl Ichigo saw on the night that this Hollow attacked his mother, since that's obviously the Hollow's lore, much like the lore employed by a real-life anglerfish that it was inspired by. Now, as Ichigo removes the claw from Zangetsu Shikai stage, I realize that I still haven't seen Ichigo using his first sword, even though I'm sure that that form is going to be in the game, but just an observation so far. I'll stop caring about that pretty quickly though when we get this amazing shot of Ichigo about to hit a nasty Getsuga Tensho using his Bankai, as we get a crazy close-up shot of him that probably goes together with this shot here of Ichigo together with Zangetsu from later on in the trailer, which is originally from the Ichigo and Kenpachi fight where Zangetsu asks Ichigo if he can hear how Kenpachi's sword was crying because the captain couldn't hear it himself. As the trailer goes on, we see more shots of our characters getting ready for battle as we flash past Ichigo, Rukia, Uryu, Chad, Renji, Byakuya, and even Ichigo with his half-visored mask. First, we see Rukia using that classic Hakuden as she sends a giant blast of ice out of the tip of her sword, and then we very quickly see Uryu doing what I think is his Ranso Tengai, which he used against Mayuri in the Soul Society arc, and the only thing making me think that is the way that the energy kind of looks like it's forming in the strings just like it did in the anime for that, so it'll be interesting to see if I'm right. Chad, or Sato, of course, does the one thing you can always expect him to do, and that's show off his cool Gigante arm, before we cut over to Renji whipping Zabimaru around, along with this shot that might even come from his ultimate attack or a super. It kind of gives me that vibe. From here, we see the moment that Byakuya completely speed blitzes Ichigo after our main character fought Renji to try and save Rukia, and here I definitely do see Ichigo using that original blade, which means at the very least, this version of him will be a skin, if not completely playable, in the game. As Byakuya talks down to Ichigo and Rukia looks back concerned about her brother pretty much removing Ichigo's powers at that moment. That's when we jump back ahead to the Soul Society arc and see a flash of Kenpachi versus Ichigo, as we get an even quicker flash of Ichigo in his half-mask state from the fight against Byakuya, where Ichigo is about to let out a devious twisting red Getsuga. And this is the point we finally start to see some combat after seeing Ichigo's textbook Bankai pose, because of course. Now, as we watch Ichigo slash Byakuya over and over again because he deserves it instead of me using a still image here, I know some people see anime arena fighters and get instantly disinterested, but here's what I like about this in just this clip right here. Okay, so first off, as always, I really love the 2D and 3D effects being used here, so let me get that out of the way because I'm always gushing over stuff like that. But what actually surprised me here was actually the speed of the gameplay, because for a while watching the trailer, I feel like I was almost expecting something slower than this. I have seen online the comparisons between this game and One Piece Burning Blood, but I genuinely think that this game looks quicker as you start to get a look at some of the actual mechanics mechanics that set this game apart. At the panel, they explain how they made this game with the original work in mind, to the point where they even want some of the battles to play out like the battles tend to happen in the anime, which means characters have the ability to completely turn a match around with one hit at the perfect opportunity, called soul destruction. And this is what it looks like we're seeing here in this clip of Byakuya going Bankai and instantly defeating Ichigo with one of his attacks, which hopefully won't be the norm, since of course I'd love to use Byakuya's Bankai for more than just one hit. But it seems like here in Renji and Uryu's battle, however, it seems like there might be some sort of counter system in play here, because when Renji does what could be the startup to his ultimate or a soul destruction attack, we see this quick scene of Uryu appearing behind him and Renji looking shocked, as in-game Uryu fires an arrow at him, sending him flying away. Now, I think a one-hit kill technique is interesting to add to a game like this, and I know a lot of people haven't played a game that has something like that, but it is something that I've seen in at least one other fighting game, and it seems to not be disliked over there. So as long as there's a way to counter this, and maybe as long as it takes a lot to actually perform, like you gotta be low HP and max Ryatsu, then I really don't have a problem with like something like Soul Destruction Strike or Soul Destruction being in the game. But I guess we're gonna have to see more gameplay and see how that, maybe it's super easy to do and then it's super cheap, who knows. From here we see my baby girl Yoruichi with the text telling us to cut a path to the future, as we see Urahara jumping into frame using what I imagine is his ultimate technique, using Benihime to do the attack that he did against Aizen with the Hogyoku near the end of, the Aizen arc. After that, it's back to the core roster as we get another shot of Renji and Ichigo fighting inside of a park, as Rukia uses her first moon technique and we see Uryu walking away from a massive explosion because he seems like their favorite. But of course, we see Ichigo using his Getsuga as a soul destruction strike on Byakuya, and you may notice that his Ryatsu is gold like in the manga, which is another one of those things that Kubo changed to make the game more like the original work. After all this, we see Ichigo wearing his full mask like he does when he fights Grimmjow for the first time in the Arrancar arc, and of course this game goes from the very beginning of the story all the way up to the Arrancar arc, meaning we'll likely be venturing into the depths of Hueco Mundo and adding all of those amazing characters to the roster if my wishes come true. Finally though, we see Ichigo and Renji clash swords during their fight pre-Soul Society arc, as we see Ichigo firing off a massive Getsuga Tensho, cutting between his hollow mask self and him in base form Bankai, as the logo of the game is revealed. But since, they had to add in one more surprise, we actually do get to see that they added in Hollow Ichigo, or Ogichi if you're one of the early members of the fandom, as at the end we finally get the platform reveal, and it's confirmed that this game is pretty much coming to every platform except Switch, which I know is good news to a lot of people who feel like the Switch is a console that's holding back some of these anime games. So I mean, hooray. Now, the title of the song from the trailer is Start of Souls by Miyavi and The Bones, so if you want to find it now, you can probably search it, but overall, here's what I think, alright? Personally, I like anime arena fighters. I love Bleach, and we've been asking for a Bleach game for a pretty long time. Like a Bleach console game, it might have been a decade since the last Bleach console game by now. I don't want to look because I'm gonna feel really old if I do. But many people have asked for a Bleach console game for a very long time, and it's gotten to the point where there's people in this community who've never played any of the games that we've ever gotten before, which for me as a fan of the Heat the Soul franchise, those are the PSP games, it's kind of nuts, but I'm definitely interested in this game. If anything, the title itself, Rebirth of Souls, tells me that on some level this game is likely a spiritual successor to the PSP Bleach games, so hopefully Tamsoft, the developers, can step up to the plate. I've seen some of the other games that they've made and some of them seem pretty horny, but I've also seen tweets from a couple years ago of people saying Tamsoft just needs a high budget. They'll show you guys. So I mean, now they got their high budget, now they got their big anime property. Let's see what they do with it. So far, I'm impressed.